Hi, this is Drew. This is me, the project for for the bones. This is going to be my skeleton kit. Look like we can look up and look closer. Say hi. All right, and then my list will be. It's a total of 50. So this is the list. There's another page somewhere. We got this one and this one. So, and it might be a little backward on the camera, but here we go. So these are all the list. So 1 through 50. So we're gonna start. Focus. Thank you. So we're gonna start with the bones. All right. So best way we're gonna start doing this is that I'm gonna be looking at the sheet with the list, and I'm gonna be going ahead and show you where they are. So for the frontal part, we're gonna be saying it's right basically in front, right there. Then we got the parietal, which again I apologize if I mispronounce some of these bones, but they'll be right right here on the side. Then we got temporal in this right there, like just that little spot. That's gonna be the temporal. So we look at the other side, temporal. Oh, am I pointing this right? There we go. Okay. Then we got the occipital, and that's gonna be behind, which it's right over here, the back of the head, back of the skull. And then, whoa, stay there, buddy. All right. Then we got the coronal sutures, which is a little tricky here. Let's see if we can put it up here. Basically, this right here going across. Okay. All right. Now continuing, we're gonna be looking over the sagittal suture, which will be, if I can get a good angle, it's gonna be going vertical, right there. So we got the right here is the sagittal, and it's gonna be the coronal. Uh, so now we got the squamous suture, which is going to be on the side, which is a little line going right there. Let me get a close zoom. So right there, going like that. Now we got the lamboy suture, which is gonna be in the back of the skull. So we're gonna turn our buddy around. Okay, so then it's going to be like a upside down V, going like that. So yeah, we got that. Then we have the nasal bone, which nasal nose, obviously, it's gonna be right there. That's his nose. That's gonna be his nasal, and then the maxilla bone is basically around his nose, so like right there, going like over here on the upper part near his nose. That's going to be the maximillo bone. All right, so continuing on, we got the mandible bone. The mandible bone is going to be basically this part of the jaw, which again part of the jaw. Then we got the mental forum, which is basically down here, and then that's the mental forum. The mandibulorum. See if I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, it's like, if I can get a good close up, it's like basically the ridge of the top of that jaw, right? And then we have the mandibular condyle. That's going to be see if I can point it at the right spot. It's like right at that point. See if I can use a pencil for this one. Maybe this will help point things out. All right, so we got that piece right there where I'm pointing at with my pen. I'm gonna be using this pen from now on. So yeah, that will be it Okay. So moving on. The coronal process of the mandible. That's going to be a little bit tricky to show. Where's my pen? It's going to be a right, right there. Yeah, right at that part of the edge. Um, so that's gonna be that part. The zygomatic bone. Um, yeah, zygomatic bone. It's going to be, see, like right there. So, and then we're gonna be going with the phen, phenoid bones. Right. Yeah, phenoid bone, which is a lateral view. So that's gonna be a little. I mean, I can't open his. Oh, I can't open his mouth. Okay. Let's see. Whew, that's gonna be a little. It's in the front area, but I don't think I can zoom in for that, and I don't think it gives you a good detail of it. But ow, does he bite? Oh, he does bite a little. Okay. So we got that. Then we have the ethmoid bone, which is going to go near his socket, which is right about here. If I can, right about there. Basically coin it inside his bone. The lacrimal bone. That's how you pronounce it. Lacrimal bone is going to be. We'll get a zoom. Right there on those edges. Right there. It's gonna be on the edge. Like, there's the camera. Like the edges right here is what it's gonna be. So right in those area. All right. So moving on. The nasal criminal bone. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Moving here. I just found out how to open this, so I'm a little slow. But so I wish I think I should have done a better job with some of the cranial area because some of them were right there specifically. But anyways, moving on to the nasal criminal thing. Basically, it's going to be inside. All right, please focus. Thank you. And be like right there at the ridge, but um, like right there inside his eye socket. Um, then we have the supraorbital foramen. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, let me zoom in. Focus. Thank you. Right there on those top of that eye socket. Then we have the infraorbital, which is going to be in the bottom. Right there in the bottom of it. Right. Okay. Then we have the superior orbital fissure. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, yes. And that's basically going to the top of his brain. And it's gonna be pointing at these two right there. I don't know if I get a good angle of that. Yep, right there. Okay. What's our next one? Inferior orbital, which that one's a little tricky. That's basically inside that eye socket. Oh, please focus. Thank you. Right there. See, right inside that. Then we have the vomer. Excuse me, vomer, which is going to be really inside those. Focus. Inside that, between those ridges of his nose. The perpendicular plate of ethmoid. It's going to be right in this area, right there. Then we have the middle and inferior conch, which is basically right through his nose inside. I wish I had like a better X-ray version of it. But moving on to interior nasal spine, it's basically right in this. Let's see, right there, basically in that little ridge right there that we got right there. Then we have the external auditory meatus, which this is now moving on to the ears, ear canal. Basically right really right inside that ear. Is what it is. Okay. All right. So moving on, we'll be talking about the glabella. Glabella is going to be right there, basically in the middle of his forehead. So yeah, it's gonna be right in that area. We have and moving on, we're gonna be going to the greater and lesser wing of phaenoid bones. And for this part, okay, so for this part, I'm gonna name a few things, and I'm going to flip the camera on this one. It's still gonna be me, obviously. I'm gonna be holding the camera, my voice, etc. And I'm gonna be pointing at the inside, not like I got this little skull open. So I'm gonna try to zoom in, try to point them out with my handy dandy pen, and move on. Excuse me, sorry. All right, so this is still me, in my pen. So now we're going to the greater and lesser, which we're gonna be zooming in. I put on the flash. It's gonna be right there, right in those little ridges or edges. Then we have the optic canal. For that one, I'm going to go ahead and just get that out of the way and just show you. Basically, it's going to be right up the canal. The word optic, obviously, with the eyes, right there. Okay. And then moving on, we're going to go to the foramen. Foramen rotundum. There we go. And basically, that's where we're going to be pointing at. Right at these two right here. So that's going to be that. Then you have the foramen lacrynum. Basically, it's still on the side, but a little bit, a little deeper. Focus. Eventually, it'll focus, but it's gonna be right there, right near the edges. It'd be easier if it was on the PowerPoint or something. Then we have the foramen spinosum. Basically, it's going to be right there on these red edges. Choroid canal. It's going to be a little bit back here, if I'm not mistaken, back in these area. Then we have the jugular foramen, which is a little more deeper. Let me get my pen inside. Right in these two tiny little dots there. That's going to be that one. The palatine bones is going to be, well, it's not going to be on the brain. Okay, so it's going to be inside his mouth. So can you say ah for me, bud? And it's going to be right. See if I can somehow get that under, right around that part. Basically, it's going to be looking on the top of that skull. All right, so back on me and our buddy skull here. Now here we go with the final part. We're gonna be going for another 10 more. So we're gonna be going to the incisive fossa, and this are gonna be just like probably 2 or 3ish. I'm gonna have a hard time showing you. Where is my magical pen? I'm always losing it. So it's gonna be inside his mouth, and we're gonna be looking basically on the top, on his, basically on those edges, on those, like, not edges, but like right on the top of your mouth. That's going to be for that one. But then for the greater palatine foramen, it's going to be at that same spot, right where that spring is, right? Basically in that exact spot where that spring is, maybe a little bit forward, but that's where it's going to be. Then we have the foramen magnum, and that one is going to be going, well, let's see if I can somehow show it to you. It's going to be right going through there. So, matter of fact, I know a better idea. Ooh. It's going to be right on top where that screw is, right there. That is where it's going to be. Ooh, let me get back down. I'm on my knee for this. I don't really have a table. So where's my pen? So now we're going to the mastoid process, which is excuse me. Again, right in this area. Then we have the styloid process, which is right there. If I can trace it out, that little hill there and out. Then you have the stylomastoid foramen. Trying to figure out how to show it to you. It's going to be, well, it's not going to be on top. It's going to be at the bottom, and it's going to be right between. Like, if I can just take off the skull, that would be awesome. But I'm trying to see if I can. I don't think I can. If I can, I'm sorry if I'm doing a poorly job on that. It's gonna be under that. Excuse me. Ooh. So then we got the Crista Galli, which this is gonna be a little bit more on the top part, right there. Then we have the cerebriform plate, which is, see, I can, right in these two parts right there. I don't think I can probably show it just right. Come on, pen. Right in these two. A little bit forward on that. Then we have the sella turrica, which it's not really a good way to show it, but it'll be really deep inside, like inside this area. So right over in this part. Then we got the internal auditory meatus, which will be our last part, which is right in these two parts right there. But that will be the rest of the bone. Well, the skull, not the rest of the bone. This will basically be, this is where we focus on the cranial, a little bit of his jaw. We talked about a little bit of his optic area, his nasal, and then a little bit of the back of his head. Where's my little skull? Here it is. Then talked about these, which he goes basically on top of his head. So let's put you back. There you go, bud. So right there. So you talked about the sutures. If I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. Okay. So I apologize. For some pieces I couldn't really show 100%. You know, I wish I can just project it or had a bigger skull, but I mean, I just figured out how I can open this cranial, figure out how I can open his mouth, but I don't think I can take off his skull, like just the head, because some pieces are actually under his mouth, and so it was a bit hard to show. But I hope you got a better understanding. His arm's about to come off, and hopefully, you got a good picture of the area where it is, because some parts are inside. That it was really hard to show it in detail, especially with the top part of the skull. And so I hope you got a good understanding on that one. And so this will be my first video on this part of the project. Okay. Before I wanted to end this video, again, I just wanted to point out that while I was doing this, and I showed off my list, while I was naming the parts, I was also highlighting them to make sure I wasn't repeating them. So for each one I was doing at least I was doing like 5 out of like 5 by 5, and eventually I was like, I can remember most of these. So I did 10 by 10 explaining where the parts are. Again, I apologize if it wasn't too clear. I tried my best. I finished doing the last 10, which I didn't really finish highlighting it because it was just the last 10 I had to really show off. But for the most part, I highlighted for the ones I was finishing up. Every time I was looking back and forth, I was trying to make sure I was pronouncing the words right and everything. So now video number 2 I'm going to work on. I'm going to see if I can print off this list too. Once I print that off, I'll be doing the same thing with just naming them and highlighting them and stuff. So
part 2.